Good, incredibly early morning, here from just outside of Boston, as I make my way in on the first Newburyport Rockport line train of the morning so that I can catch the Cape Flyer service. And now, welcome to Boston North Station, for the second time I've been here in the last 12 real-life hours. Here I'm going to board a Green Line tram to Park Street, where then I can board the Red Line to get to Boston South Station. And now here we are. We can go up the escalators and access the concourse. With that being said, good morning from beautiful Boston South Station, where today we are going to ride the Cape Flyer. Train today is Cape Flyer train number 9101, the 7:45 a.m. service to Hyannis, but we do have a bit more time before it even boards, so let's look around the station for a bit. Boston South Station is a station which I have toured previously, so I will keep my tour brief. Boston South Station is the main station serving Boston, Massachusetts, USA, with 13 tracks serving 2 operators year-round and a third operator in the summer, that third operator being the CCRTA, whose Cape Flyer train we will ride today. It's actually made up of 3 operators, but I will explain once we are on the train. The station features a food court as well as many other food outlets, including a sit-down tavern in the square location. However, it does not feature much tourist stores. In addition to its food outlets, it also features a Dunkin' Donuts, a mainstay of the Boston area, as well as a Cafe Nero and a nearly completed Starbucks location, which at the time of upload is now complete.
Probably the only person.
On the left-hand side of the station are ticket offices for both of the primary operators at the station, Amtrak and MBTA. Cape Flyer tickets must be purchased at the MBTA booth, so go here if you need to purchase Cape Flyer tickets. We will get to ticket prices once we have departed. The rest of the station is simply a waiting area, so we can wait for our train here. Anyways, our train is announced to be boarding on track 10, so let's head on over there a bit shakily.
Makes sense if we only have one, I guess, because but also a ton of people ride it, especially later in the summer. So
Probably mostly Boston residents, honestly.
well, yeah. Also, they do have a couple stations out in the suburbs. I think I'm trying to remember from the
Braintree and
Classy
Brockton.
Whale video, where people got off. It's I watched.
Of course, you watch Classy Whale.
Of course, I watch Classy Whale. Yeah. I watched so many trip reviews that I started looking in my head.
Apparently, a trip report.
Yeah.
He doesn't have narration or expertise, and it's not a college grad. Besides, it's apparently too rich to aboard, so it's apparently a trip report. Oh yeah. Wait, they have a.
And here we are. Look at this beautiful locomotive. Now, let's go on in. And yes, there is some commentary in the video itself. I was traveling on that day with a friend of mine, so apologies for anything you might overhear. First class. Wow, like the YouTube channel.
What?
That thing? There was a whale sign. I said like the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Wait, do you want us in first class?
Hell yes.
You don't actually have to pay for that.
I'm aware. Well, we got on the train into first class. I'd initially thought that while this used to be a paid upgrade, it was free now, based on outdated information I had heard from Classy Whale's video. No hate, of course, to Classy Whale. Go subscribe if you do not yet. However, as of 2024, they have made first class a paid service again. We did pay once we were on, and I will talk about cost in a few minutes. However, for now, me and my friend sit in our seats and await departure. And nearly 20 minutes after sitting on down, we depart from Boston South Station's 10th track, 7 minutes late at 07:53. And with that departure, let's discuss our route today. Today, we are on Cape Flyer train number 9101, the 7:45 a.m. service to Hyannis, making intermediate stops at Braintree, Brockton, and Middleborough Lakeville for pickup only, and in addition, making full intermediate stops for both pickup and drop-off at Wareham Village, Buzzards Bay, Bourne, and terminating at Hyannis. I will be riding for the whole journey, which will total 127.37 kilometers or 79.14 miles. Tickets for this journey typically do cost $20 per direction, with first class upgrades costing $15 per person per direction. However, because we were traveling in the month of June 2024, our round trip tickets were only $10, with our first class tickets only costing $5. This promotion did take place last year in 2023, but I'm unsure as to if this will become a yearly thing. As far as I'm aware, the promotion last year was to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of the service. And shortly after departure, we arrive at our first stop, Braintree. Braintree is a nearby suburb of Boston, which also is a terminus of the longer branch of the Red Line. It also features the best place in the world, South Shore Mall. And other than that, the station is really not fun to wait for your train at during freezing cold or insanely hot weather. This station is also served by MBTA commuter rail trains to Kingston, Massachusetts, and Middleborough Lakeville.
That takes the Middleborough Lakeville line. That's crazy. Oh yeah, it makes sense.
We shortly after leave Braintree after adding 2 minutes on to our already existing delay, now 9 minutes behind schedule. We continue going and shortly later have a stop at Brockton before passing through the university town of Bridgewater. And arriving into Middleborough Lakeville 21 minutes late. Right before we arrived in, I went on over to the bathroom. So let's go and check that out right now.
Next car to the left.
Bathrooms are located in all bi-level coaches on this train. This bi-level coach was nearest me, so I used this one. The bathroom is just a typical MBTA commuter rail bathroom. You would expect it to be a bit cleaner than the ones used on the MBTA commuter rail itself, as this train set is only used 6 times per week. However, that's only what you would expect. While it definitely did not smell as bad as some others have been on using the commuter rail, the mirror had scratches in it, and while this is not a personal fault of the MBTA, I do find it disgusting that the person before me had to use it without flushing. Or I did find it disgusting until I tested flushing it myself and found out that the flushing was simply not working. That is in fact a fault of the MBTA and something they must fix. This is overall not great, especially for an interurban vacation train. Come on, MBTA, do better. Well, moving on as we go by Middleborough Lakeville and we thus exit the MBTA commuter rail network, we shortly after pass by some CT rail rolling stock, which was actually MBTA rolling stock that was previously on lease to CT rail. And while we are not yet in Cape Cod, this is still absolutely beautiful and is in fact where many of the cranberries of the US come from, including those in Ocean Spray's products. Wareham also features a stop on this line, which is the first stop that can be both boarded and alighted at. However, I unfortunately did not record this stop. Here's it right after we left, though, and shortly after we then stop at Buzzards Bay. Before we then head on to the Cape Cod Canal Railroad Bridge. Built in 1933, this bridge is usually raised to a height of 83 meters and only lowers when trains on the Cape Flyer, Cape Cod Central Railroad, and freight trains pass over it to go over the canal. Views of the man-made canal are absolutely beautiful. Now then, let's talk about the operator of this. While the operator is the CCRTA, it is actually co-operated by MBTA, CCRTA, and French railroad company Keolis. And shortly before we entered this, we entered the municipality of Bourne and thus Barnstable County, which means we are now in Cape Cod. However, now that we've passed over the canal and are near our penultimate stop at Bourne, let's walk on over the train before we get there. First up in the very back and not shown here is the bike car, which I did not go into for fear of getting in trouble. The first actual passenger coach for passenger use is the BTC 1B coach. Following that is a weirdly modified BTC 1B, which with seats which I usually only find on bi-level cars, despite this car being single level. It also features a cafe at the end. And can I have one of these?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay.
Two if you want.
Okay. Do you want one? Menu shot. Menu shot. Right now you're looking at the menu shot. Yeah, I cannot believe I just said that out loud. Go subscribe to Miles in Transit if you have not, anyways. Moving on, we also reached a first class car, which features a mini cafe which includes refreshments and some treats, as well as alcoholic beverages. Speaking of refreshments, every first class passenger gets one free alcoholic beverage if they are above the age of 21, and one free non-alcoholic drink if not. Now then, not far at all, I was trying to check out the next two coaches of the train, but my conductor that day did not let me. So let's move on to the review. Well, I enjoyed the experience, but outside of the incredible discounts we had, I think that this is incredibly expensive. I mean, $40 for a round trip? That's just insane in my opinion. And especially without first class and just the commuter seat. With first class, this $40 for a round trip adds $30 more to make it a total of a $70 round trip if you want to make this journey outside of the month of June. Thankfully for us, we only paid $10 for our tickets and $5 for first class each way, for a total of $20 per person. However, I just cannot justify spending more than $20 per direct. However, I think that the $10 price is fine. Maybe it should be $10 per direction. And even then, we are still pushing it.
Yeah, in 1865.
However, I do think that the $20 price is fine, just that it should offer a bit more than commuter seats. And it also can be a bit much for someone to make a day trip in one day on that.
But they didn't want to like violently. They just want to make like.
Now, don't get me wrong, the commuter seats are fine, but still, I just cannot see spending more than $20 per direction for this. And even that is pushing it. First class is fine, and even with a drink included. I do think that the upgrade cost makes sense for first class, as the ride is very smooth and the chairs are absolutely amazing. And again, you also do get a drink included into this. Now, the ride in general is very smooth and goes to Hyannis in one piece. My one issue other than the above is scheduling. The scheduling is pretty clearly only made for Boston residents and those in the inner suburbs. And hell, even for my friend who's a Boston resident and lives in one of the less populated areas of Boston, it was hard for her to even get to the station in time for this train. And for me as someone in an outer suburb, I had to wake up at 3 a.m. so I could bike to the station and make the first train of the day. Now, that being said, I did have to shower before, but still, this does make it harder for people not in Boston or not living along the line to take this train. And in addition, this only runs one service a day on weekends only. In my opinion, it should run at least 3 round trips on weekends. It definitely could, and would be a better use of the train's time than idling in the station for so long.
Really thriving.
And also, in addition to that, maybe an additional 2 or 1.5 runs on Mondays and Fridays, and then maybe 1 run per day on weekdays. Beyond this, the train could also theoretically be used for Cape Codders to get to Boston quicker. But the thing is that with this schedule, it's mainly only appealing to tourists and not actual Cape Cod residents. I am not a Cape Cod resident. I've never lived in Barnstable County, so I cannot speak on behalf of them. But this must be frustrating to have this train that is ultimately only for tourists and does not serve you at all, especially considering that it only runs in the summer. But anyways, shortly later, we arrive on into Hyannis with a 19-minute delay, and we can deboard our train and walk into Hyannis Station. Next week, we will be checking out the least used station on the Lowell line, Wedgmere. I hope to see you there. Bye now.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Welcome to Hyannis.